And so I said, "Screwdriver? I barely know her." Hello everybody. The topic for my discussion today is about comedians. The funniest people in the world. The men and women who get up on that stage and make us laugh every... I don't go to stand-up shows, I'm not old enough. They usually serve alcohol. I'm only 15. But that's not the point. The point is, I'm counting down the 5 best comedians of our day. To fit that criteria, they have to still be doing shows and releasing new albums. If you didn't know, comedy albums are like a full special, but they come up in like little bits and pieces in their songs. You can get them on Spotify, they're great. It's the most convenient thing in the world. So without further ado, yada yada, you know. Number 5, Aziz Ansari. What makes Aziz so special is he's mastered all sorts of types of comedy. He doesn't pigeonhole himself in one certain little area. He does everything. He does observations, stories, impressions. He's very impressive. He's extremely funny. All his material is fresh. A lot of comics stay in the same area as other comics before them. But Aziz makes up new topics. They're very original, very unique, and that's what puts him on this list. Number 4, Pete Holmes. Now, Pete Holmes only has 2 specials out ever. Nice Try the Devil is one of them, and I can't quite remember the other one. Now, while he only has 2 specials, he had his own television show called The Pete Holmes Show. It came on after Kimmel, I think. Fact check me, I have no idea. Pete Holmes has this smiley, happy demeanor about him. A lot of comics kind of stay in the dark area, and they either go for offensive, or they go for shock value, or they don't just laugh along with the audience. Which is okay sometimes. Some comedians, their dry sense of humor works. But Pete Holmes, he's just a guy that gets up on stage and has a good time, has a laugh, and he's fantastic. All his comedy is hilarious. He does awesome voices and just new perspectives on everything. He has a bit in his album, Nice Try the Devil, where he talks about raptures. I suggest you check it out. You can get it on Spotify or iTunes, or just buy the whole special itself. It's fantastic. Totally worth a look. Number 3, Joe Rogan. Now, when I said something earlier about how I don't like offensive comics, that's not true. I do like offensive comics, but I don't just like offensive comics. In this case, Joe Rogan was way too good not to put on the list. Joe Rogan has had a ton of jobs. He's done hosting, mostly, acting, sometimes, and comedy. Comedy seems to be his strong suit. He's very funny and has a very offensive, yet realistic sense toward things. A lot of people call him out on being misogynistic, overly offensive, a stoner, and I agree with all of those things. But I don't think they're bad. They work with his comedy really, really well. I mean, some jokes are really blue, but mostly he just makes observations about the world, and he says things that you wouldn't usually bring up in conversation with your friends. Not because you don't necessarily think of them, but just you're not that ballsy. Also, he has 4 specials, I think. Shiny Happy Jihad, Rocky Mountain High, the one in between those 2 and the one before that. He has 4. Check them all out. They're all great. He's a fantastic comic. Number 2, Mike Birbiglia. Mike Birbiglia's comedy kind of centers around his own life. He talks about his struggles with his mental disorders and his love life and his non-belief in marriage, even though he's been married for a couple of years now. His comedy, what sets it apart from a lot of different comics, is his comedy has a heart to it. When you listen to Mike Birbiglia, not only do you think he's so funny, but also you feel for him, and you want to care for him and be like him. I mean, you don't want the crippling mental disorders that he has and the insomnia and all that stuff, but other than that, he's fantastic, extremely funny, and extremely heartfelt. Please check him out. If I could only force you to check out one comedian on this list, it would be Mike Birbiglia, because I think you'd have the most fun listening to him. He's fantastic for new comedy enthusiasts, for old comedy enthusiasts. He's just one of the greatest comedians of all time. Number 1, I think we all saw this coming, Louis C.K. Now, if you had to declare a president of the comedy world, it would be Louis. A lot of people would argue, Carlin, it's Louis. Not only is He's the greatest comic of our time. I think he's the greatest comic of all time. Every joke he's ever told has made me laugh out loud. I never laugh when I'm by myself. I don't, because there's nobody there to laugh with. And that's just a normal human thing. But he makes me laugh even when I'm alone. He's so talented. Everything he says has never been said before. He's the only person in the past 10 years to make a monologue on SNL that genuinely made me laugh. And that's why he gets #1 on this list. Thank you for watching, and if you were wondering why there was no female comedians on this list, it's because women aren't funny. That is an example of a joke. Women can be funny, that's not true at all what I said before. The reason there was none on this list is because those 5 men just happen to be the greatest. This is all my opinion, by the way, so don't take this too seriously. Anyway, I hope you had a good time watching. I still haven't come up with the outro. I'm working on it. So again, I'm just going to say, bye. Bye.